announced, services no longer required. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. He has got such a cool voice, man. All right, so now you're going to hear a talk about a great priest, the model priest for our times, the one who, this is weird saying this in New Zealand because it's today, but not today. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of weird. I'm always in my head thinking, what time is it in California right now? And it's tough for me. And what time is it in Rome right now? So actually, John Paul II is going to be beatified tomorrow, right? For you guys. Well, it's today, but over there, it's not today. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's weird to me, man. Like the whole time thing. Like it's you know what's really weird is when I flew here, you know this if you've flown to the United States, I missed Friday. I never lived Friday, which for a priest is really weird because I didn't get to say Mass that day. You know what I mean? It's just odd, you know? But when I go back, it's kind of cool because you know how it goes. I get to live Monday all over again, basically, you know? It's kind of wild. So before I talk about this great priest, John Paul II, now soon to be blessed John Paul II, right? I did want to mention something because I've had a lot of people asking me this in the hallways and everything. And I do apologize that I didn't bring any of my books. The shipping is outrageous to ship huge quantities of books from my community to pay that cost. So if you want to get the book, if you wanted to pull out a little piece of paper to write this down so you know the title, because I've also had a lot of people saying to me, Father, you're so right. I wish my son was here, you know, when you gave that talk. I hear that all the time. So if you want a good technique to convert your funky children, right? Here's a good method, okay? Try this. Get my book and put it in the house somewhere, you know? Put it in the bathroom. I don't care where they read it, just as long as they read it, you know? Because it's actually already, the book is consecrated to the Blessed Virgin Mary. It's her book, and I'm letting her do with what she wants to do with it. It's already bringing people back to the church after they read it, and there's actually a true story of some inmates at a maximum security prison in California. 12 men entered into a little pact, so to speak, to find the truth in this maximum security prison in California. Well, somehow they got a hold of my video and then the book. 10 of those men converted to Catholicism after having read the book. 10 out of 12 of them. So we're still praying for the other. I'm not satisfied. I want the other 2, you know. So I'm so grateful to Jesus and Mary for what they're doing with this book. So the title of the book is No Turning Back, A Witness to Mercy. Okay? And the book is the most update version of the story. There's videos. Many of you have told me you've already seen the video. But the book just came out last year, and it's got all the nitty-gritty details. Well, not all of them, trust me. Yeah, some things are just between me and God. But it's got a lot of it, and it's got a lot of my mother's perspective, because I hear a lot of women saying to me, oh, gosh, I would love to talk to your mom. I'd love to get your mom's insights on, you know, this. And chapter 2 is called My Saint Monica, dedicated to my mother, because I was her Augustine, so to speak, the sinful kid who mocked his mother's religion and was a player and a New Ager, kind of, which what Augustine was back in his time, you know, somebody who looked at the stars trying to find meaning and so forth. So that helps a lot of mothers, chapter 2. So it's No Turning Back, A Witness to Mercy. You can get it on Amazon.com. I have my own website, by the way, if you can get it through there as well. It's fathercalloway.com, and you have to spell out the father part, okay? So don't put just FR, or you're going to get something else. fathercalloway.com, okay? So I just want to say that I hate to give a commercial, but a lot of people have been asking me, and I don't have them here available for you. All right. So let's talk about this great man that the whole church is celebrating, and in a brand new way we're going to be celebrating by calling him Blessed John Paul II. And I think, personally, that in time, you know, he'll be canonized. That's my personal opinion, because the dude was holy. I mean, even people who don't like the church, even people who don't understand the church liked him, right? He was the world's kind of spiritual leader and was responsible for so much during his pontificate that even people who wanted nothing to do with the church would acknowledge that this man was set apart, that this man was different, and he was. I have my own little opinions about how holy this guy was. I also think that he will be a great, meaning like John Paul the Great. There's only a few greats that we have, like Gregory the Great, and a few others. I think he'll be in that category because he was the impact that he had upon the church and the culture and the world at large is huge. It's going to go down into the history books only like few other people in the history of humanity. In my opinion, and it's just my opinion, I think he's the third greatest man that ever lived. Okay, first there's the God-man, Jesus Christ, then St. Joseph, and then, in my opinion, John Paul. Because that guy was amazing in the things that he did. He did so much that we could talk about this endlessly. About his love for the Blessed Virgin Mary. Oh my gosh, I could talk about that for months, but that's not what my talk is about. We could talk about his great love for just culture, right? I mean, he was the most traveled pope because of modern technology and means and all that than any pope in human history. And he went everywhere. I mean, everywhere, even places that I wasn't even aware of that he had visited. And I'm curious, because I don't know this, did he ever come to New Zealand? See what I mean? I didn't know that. And look at that. Unbelievable. I was just in Fiji 3 months ago, and I'm thinking, surely John Paul never went to Fiji. Well, he did. That's awesome. That was amazing to me that John Paul II even took time out to go to Fiji. Amazing stuff. He went everywhere. But what I want to talk about is how he was an apostle of mercy. Because if there's one movement that's sweeping the church, and it has been now for about the last 30 years or so, and it's this grassroots movement that's sprung up really from the laity in many respects, and it's gone everywhere, and in most instances, a large part of the group that's behind it are the Filipinos, right? As always. The divine mercy, right? This is such a treasure for our times, and Pope John Paul II knew this, not just because he was Polish, right? A lot of people think, no wonder he spread it. He was He was a Polish guy, Yes, indeed. But he was Papa. He was our spiritual father. And he had a direct line to God because upon the rock is the foundation of the church. And he who hears you hears me. And so, the people nowadays who walk around with the wristbands, WWJD, what would Jesus do, right? We know what he would do when we listen to the Pope. And so the message, one of the main messages for our times, and that this blessed Pope sought to give to the whole world, traveling all around, was this divine mercy message, because he knew it from the inside out. And he lived it from the inside out. And it's such a message for us in our times that is not a new message. A lot of times people think about the Divine Mercy message and devotion, and they think, it's a new thing. No, obviously it can't be. It's not like God said, you know what? For the first, a couple thousand years of the church, I'm going to be nasty. I'm going to be a God of justice, and I'm not going to be merciful. And then in the year, in the beginning of the 20th century, I'll be merciful. No, God's always been merciful, right? He's the Father of mercies. He's our Heavenly Father. He loves us so much. But think about it. This great message, with all of its particulars that are new, like the Chaplet of Divine Mercy, the Image of Divine Mercy, the Feast of Divine Mercy, the Novena of Divine Mercy, all these aspects, those things are new, but the message itself is not. Because at the core of the Christian message, at the core of the Scriptures, is that God is merciful. Because he created us out of nothing. Because he's merciful. And John Paul II knew this and wrote about this, and I'm going to go through this kind of historically and show you the link between the Divine Mercy message and John Paul II, and it's largely in part because of him that we're able to celebrate Divine Mercy Sunday, and do what we do in celebrating and knowing about and reaping the fruit of and the promises of the divine mercy message. God could have given this message, even in its particular forms of devotion, chaplet, image, feast day, at any other time in human history. He could have, right? Sure. Because at other times in human history, he's given certain devotions for us to focus on because of the times. Think about it, like the Sacred Heart devotion, right? That sprung up at a particular time in the church when people were looking at things in a very, very rigorous, a very strict way. Jesus introduced a devotion to his heart, that heart on fire with a love for humanity, with a God who is so in love with us that he wanted us to literally see his heart on fire out of love for us. There have been huge eras in the history of the church where there have been problems. Not just in the church, with like the Reformation and so forth, but huge areas across the globe